Excellent Podcast. I'm Brian.
I'm Tony.
And we're both licensed professional inspectors here in the state of Texas. We want to help relieve those butterflies, alleviate that anxiety, and help you make smart, informed decisions by arming you with information about your home.
Oh, yeah.
So, Tony, we're somewhere special today.
We are. We're here with...
Where are we?
We're in the RE/MAX offices, DFW, here in Flower Mound on Long Prairie Road. Today we've got Dan and Becky Tomasek from the Tomasek team here going to talk to us about harnessing the power of home staging to attract buyers.
So welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You guys want to maybe give us a little bit of background on yourselves and
Sure.
how you guys got going as a team?
I'm Dan Tomasek. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. Graduated in 1970. Played in a popular musical group there. Eventually went into the United States Navy, where I served on a nuclear power submarine. And after I got out in May of 81, I ran an old shipmate of mine. He talked to me to get my real estate license. And so that's what I did. And I've been doing that full time since 1982.
Oh, wow. So the rest is history then.
Yeah, the rest is history. For the first time in my career, I brought on a partner, and that happens to be my wife, Becky, who has a unique and complementing expertise to our team. So.
Oh, very good. So
nice.
What unique complementing expertise do you bring, Becky?
Well, I've spent about 25 years in the staging and design business, and then during the holiday season, I have about 28 homes that I do Christmas. Their Christmas trees, their mantles, their staircases, and
nice.
So I've been around a lot of realtors doing the staging business and learning a lot through osmosis, and decided to join Dan.
Very good. Well, welcome, guys. We love having you here.
You bet.
With all that said, talk a minute about the challenges of being married and working as a real estate team.
Well, it's interesting because doing it as long as I have, I know of other teams that they are husband and wife, and let's just say I've overheard challenges.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay. We have not experienced that. We've been very, very fortunate.
Oh, that's awesome.
Our marriage of 17 years works very well because of the love we have for each other, respect, and we tend to we're in our own lane. Whereas I've been evaluating property and negotiating contracts for over 41 years, and then she brings the design aspect into it, helping our buyers when we're walking through a home to see, gosh, if you just did this wouldn't cost much. Colors, floor coverings, whatever it might be. She brings that aspect into it. Plus, there are times when each of us might see something else in the other person's lane. Well, and you want to listen to that, because there have been times when I'm going like, gosh, honey, I didn't think that's really good. I'm going to go call Doug and Ann. Yeah. And then we get on the phone with them and say, hey, Becky just came up with this solution. They're going like, oh, I really like that. And it had nothing to do with design. It had to do with other parts.
She's helping you with what you do. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think I bring a new perspective, that because he's been in the business for so long that since I'm kind of new to it, I see things differently than he. It's like meeting with your exactly. Well, he's been doing it a long time, and sure. I'm fresh and new, so I'm like, what about this? And he's like, I didn't even think about that.
So
that's awesome.
What would an example be?
I think with Doug and Ann, it was like, because they're trying to figure out, we want to do the best we can on selling our home, but then we want to buy one. We don't want to rent.
Right.
So she actually came up with the idea, well, what about a bridge loan? Or they can get if they're not ready to list their house yet, they can get a home equity line of credit, which if you don't have your house on the market yet, you can get that line of credit. Then you can pull from the equity of your house.
Oh, to buy a new house.
Because they were going to delay a couple months, and I said, "What about this?" So they can continue moving forward, because we found them a house that they wanted, and I didn't want them to lose that.
Okay,
So I'm like, "What about this?" So we can get their house on the market, get them into the new house.
Oh, that's really creative.
And then they weren't buying a contingent on the sale of their other house. They were able to do the work and got with a good finance person. We put the sale together. They did really well on the sale of their house.
Oh, that's good.
And they did really well on the purchase. Okay. So it was she came up with it. I don't always come up with it all the time, so that was one thing.
Well, I got a question. Have you guys ever considered recommending a pre-listing inspection for your sellers?
Absolutely.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Oh, yes. And a lot of the times I'm looking at the condition of the home, where they're at, and I'm just saying, you're going to have to disclose A, B, C, and D. Mm-hmm. It's not going to take much to fix these smaller items because they're not real costly, but then you have to disclose it. And now if you're disclosing these negative things about the house, then now they're saying, well, what else is there? But if you have someone like you guys come in, do that pre-home inspection. Yeah. Now you got an eye on it. And it's just especially helpful when you see a situation where, hey, I can see where this home is going to have multiple offers. And if you want to take away that contingency of a home inspection, many buyers today will look at the home inspection that the pre-inspection that the seller had done, and they'll go off of that.
Yeah.
And
we
trust
see that. Same thing.
So it offers a little leverage, really.
Yeah.
For sellers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, because then they always feel free to, hey, contact the guys that did the inspection. Yeah. And if you need more clarity on something, then they'll talk to you about it. And it's always about full disclosure.
Yeah. You talked about the market that we're heading into as well.
Yep. Yeah. And we're in that kind of market right now where we're going from a seller's market into more of a buyer's market.
There we are.
But providing that information, I think it's always good. Everyone has a different opinion about it. Mine is, it's a positive. So
yeah, I agree with you, actually.
That's one less thing the buyer has to do.
You mentioned we are going into more of a buyer's market, and we see that too from our side. And on a pre-listing inspection, there are always a lot of cosmetic things that come up, just siding deterioration, just things that happen living in a home over time, right? How do you address that from a staging perspective, or can you, when you're going to make a home ready to sell and make it maybe more appealing as somebody's walking through?
I enjoy just walking with the owner through the home and talking to them about maybe what their budget is in that area. Yeah. What are you wanting to do? Like, are you willing to switch out carpeting that could be really stained? Because that's an eyesore. You want it as fresh, and you want to have it look its very best the minute it hits the market. So are you willing to have it possibly repainted? Are you willing to change out the carpet? Are we willing to freshen up the exterior with some bark dust and maybe a couple new plants outside to make it fresh?
Nice. Yeah, I have a realtor friend who anytime she goes to list a house, she has these people, the sellers, if they have carpet, she has them go to a carpet place over in Fort Worth, and she's got a relationship with them, and they have a carpet there called Sell This House Beige.
It's builder beige. I mean, it's a builder quality, but it's fresh and it smells good. Yeah. So when the new buyer comes in, it smells good. It smells like a new home. Yeah. One less thing they don't have to do.
Yeah. And the other thing that staging can do, you're not hiding anything, but it can move your eye away from something that doesn't look so great. And she's really good at dressing it up. I mean, she can take your eye away from the unpleasant color of the cabinets or the tile, the backsplash or something like that.
That's interesting.
And then you bring in this decor. And in my opinion, I think when people walk in their homes, the house talks to you. Yeah. It just and it just feels right to you. I've even had it where I had new construction going on, and they were side by side duplexes. They're same floor plan, but one you came in and you turned one way, and the other one you turned the other way, and I would have the prospective buyer say, "Well, that one next door is a lot bigger."
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
It might feel bigger to you,
but
it's not.
It's the same, yeah.
So that's why I say it. It's a feeling thing. And I have kind of a story. I'm going to tell that story
later. You can tell it now?
Let me tell that story now.
Is it a happy hour story? Or
No, it's a home that was what I call challenging.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The owners had specific tastes in decor and colors, and their furniture they were very frugal people. Their furniture wasn't even good enough to give away to anybody.
And they knew that.
And they knew
they were going to take it to Goodwill. They were done. Yeah.
So she came in, had them takes down some art that was their taste.
Sure.
But we don't want to have this draw your eye to that. We want to draw your eye to the floor plan. Had them change some colors and then rearrange the furniture. I mean, this is how frugal they were. The coffee table was a wooden crate.
But there wasn't a lot in the home, but I moved it around so there were groupings.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like almost like a college frat house. And there was something here, something there, like a beanbag here, a beanbag there.
Why didn't we do this before? Why didn't we do that? Well, you don't have that vision. And this was a place not close in, so it's farther out.
Yeah.
It's very
little
rural.
tougher market. Mm-hmm. That dang thing sold in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's local here in Texas?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you oftentimes work with the existing furniture and items they have in the house, right?
Of course, yeah.
Because I always thought of staging as it's an empty house and they're going to bring in furniture and pictures and hang them on the wall. So you go in there, take what they've got, consult with them, rearrange some things, maybe change a few colors, possibly change the carpet out if it's a major item like that. And that's really going to make a big difference in how long it stays on.
Well, I think each house calls for its own thing, right? So if they have a lot of furniture in there and they're wanting to use it and it's usable, and it makes sense, then we can go ahead and use their art. Maybe it's more about elimination because we accumulate so much as we live in a home, right? And the way I like to address it with them is in a very thoughtful way. I always ask them if there's something in this room that needs to stay here, like the photograph of somebody, please let me know. I would never want to say, okay, this has got to go, this has got to go, this has got to go, and hurt somebody's feelings. So to go into a home and have that conversation and then tell them, you're going to end up selling this house and it's going to be, you're going to pack up. Yeah. So why don't we get a jump on that?
Yep. Less is more.
And less is more. Because, and the other thing I like to tell my clients is when you come into a model home, what do you see?
Sure.
You don't see knickknacks. You don't see small things. You see large pieces of art, large pieces of furniture, and fewer everything.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it look so full and fresh and clean and new and designed.
Yeah.
It goes together and it flows. So when I had my staging business, the name of it was Grand Appeal. And the reason I named it Grand Appeal is because I wanted to take a house and make it appealing to a very grand amount of people, a lot of people.
Oh, got it.
Because a lot of people have a very difficult time coming into, say, a vacant home or even a home that has not been staged properly and the furniture's just been placed in there. And they have a really hard time imagining what that home looks like and it looks like with their items and how they foresee themselves living in this home.
It's like what they can see what can be. What
you need to help them because not everybody can do that. That's why I think where model homes do that for people. So it'll take me to another subject, which is the virtual staging. You can pull up a house online and they'll have virtual staging and it looks beautiful. And then you go take your clients and show them that home and there's nothing in that home. It's almost like their bubble is burst.
Yeah, I could see that.
So it's really important to show that house and you want it to sparkle.
One thing I want to add real quick. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting. But when they pack all that stuff up, could you recommend they don't set it in the garage?
Oh, yeah, please.
In front of the electrical panel.
There you go.
Or the water heater.
Or the water heater.
Or the attic access.
Yeah.
That would always, I hate going into houses like that and go, oh boy, because I'm going to have to move a bunch of boxes.
Exactly.
And miscellaneous items and bikes anyway.
You can consider that done.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. That just went right into my mind when she said that. Pack everything up. I'm like, oh yeah, I've been there.
Might want to invest in a small little storage unit.
There you go.
There you are. Yeah.
So do you, you guys covered a lot of territory. You took a lot of my questions away.
I think we're flowing good here. What do you think?
But I do have a question around staging homes versus unstaged homes. Have you seen a lot in your experience, maybe time on the market or maybe even number of offers or even the quality of offers based on the staging versus not staging?
Sometimes. We just believe that depending on the floor plan is how much staging do we need to have. So if the house is vacant.
A vignette like in a, maybe do just the kitchen and the bathrooms and maybe just a living area. Yeah. I don't feel it's necessary to always do all the bedrooms and a dining room and the kitchen certain homes call for certain things.
Yeah. And some homes need more help than others.
Well,
so
that's true.
If they walk in and it's a unique floor plan and you walk in and if it's vacant, you're going like, okay, where where am I going to put, how am I going to live in this home?
Yeah.
The bedrooms are the bedrooms. They can figure that out. It's the rest of the house.
Yeah, it's the daily where you're walking and sitting and
exactly
cooking. And
right, exactly.
So when you do that, I mean, do you ever recommend renovations ever, or is it always just staging?
Here's the formula. Money in, money out.
Okay.
I never recommend anything that, if by doing so, is going to add value and hopefully more. And then, because most people these days, they don't want to have to do anything.
Yeah.
Having that pre-inspection, finding those things, fixing those things, taking care of those items. Might be a simple thing like, hey, we haven't had the furnace service and the AC service in a while. Let's get that up to date. Might be something you find an electrical panel.
Or
electrical problems are, to me, that's a safety thing.
Yeah.
You want to be able to sell that to, hey, that's money well spent, because if I'm buying your home and I need to put $10,000 into your home,
right,
I'm not going to offer you $10,000 less. I'm going to offer you $15,000 or $20,000 less.
Yeah.
So that's what I always suggest. You don't have to be ready to sell your home right now. Becky and I will come in. She'll put her eyes on it. I'll put my eyes on it, and there are two different sets of eyes, and we both see different things. Then you can do it over time and ready your home for a market so that when you're ready, now you're ready to go.
Yeah.
And honestly, one of the things I've picked up from you along the way for years is you should always be ready, because you never know what might transpire in your life.
I live in a model home, okay? Yeah. I just ask her, this is my desk. I know where these papers at. Don't move anything around. She has vision. Like I told you, that vision that in that house with all the crummy furniture and everything, she just sees it. And so it's going to, when it gets staged, it's right. So anything after that, it's either functional floor plan. Is there some dysfunctionality? Your price, what's going on in the neighborhood, maybe. Those are the things, not staging.
Staging is just one element. It's one part of the one piece of the pie, right?
Yeah.
So, guys, we always kind of wrap up our show with some client questions. I picked a few that Tony and I can't answer because we're not realtors.
Okay.
But I thought maybe you guys could help us with them. Does that be okay?
Sure.
Okay. So the first one was, when negotiating repairs, should I only prioritize major problems like the foundation or roof, or is it okay to ask for smaller repairs too?
As a buyer?
As a buyer, yeah.
So if we're helping a buyer, I usually tell them to stick to the major. Yeah. Stick to the major items. They're seeing it, and even though they had a home inspection, something came up. We just had a house we closed in Robeson Ranch that we sold to some folks, and they actually bought this home sight unseen.
Oh, wow.
We
that can go good, or that can go really, really.
And that's why I get a little nervous with that. Yeah. But going through the house, I could see things. But they bought it subject to a home inspection. In fact, the guy across the table here is Tony. He did the inspection.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And you found those things up on the roof that needed attention. And I had Tarrant Roofing come out, and they looked at it.
So it really wasn't sight unseen, because they had Tony's eyes on it.
That's right. Yeah.
And he had Dan's eyes on it.
Yeah. But I bring my expert in, and they found we can take care of these items for $450.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
And where you think, like, they say, the roof is 16 years old. I mean, it's good. I mean, we had a foundation thing where, it slight crack, but that's normal. But then we had one of the pieces that keep the foundation together, that's rusting.
The cables.
Yeah. So
we had some of those,
and so all that stuff they weren't concerned about anything. So there's nothing major in it.
Oh, that's great.
Now, if there was something major, then we talk about it.
Sure.
Right.
But your point is not to nitpick. Pick your big issues, pick your moderately big issues.
Absolutely.
But don't get down to...
Yeah. And roof maintenance is important. You got a 16-year-old home roof. You want to get another 10 years out of it if you're lucky. You go ahead and get some maintenance done on that and repair those things that need to be repaired.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. The next it's a two-part question, so we may have to come back to the second part. I don't know. It says, is it reasonable or common to request a credit for repairs instead of having the seller fix any issues directly? And are there any advantages to doing the repairs myself versus having the seller do it before they close?
it's always, this is the lane I go down.
Yeah.
Okay. If I'm going to have someone do work in my home, which this is going to be your home,
right,
then you want to hire who you trust and who you want to use.
You and I are from the same school.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I make sure when I'm going through there that we leave a little room in there, and that's fair to do because I'm working for the buyer. Understand that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And do that. But also you got to make sure you clear it with the buyer's lender. Make sure that they're going to be okay with that this isn't a deficiency that they're going to require gets repaired before closing.
Yeah. Right. And I'm going to ask you guys this one. This one's come up a couple of times. We don't answer these kinds of questions, but it says, will the issues identified in my report impact my home's resale value when I go to sell it in the future?
Well, it can if you don't take care of them.
Yeah.
So if there's, you always have a list. These are the major things. These are things you want to keep your eye on.
Right.
And you guys always give that to us.
Yeah.
You want to keep this, have this checked, have that checked. Well, have those things done, but then document that you, on such and such a date, you'd had this work done, that showdown, because one of the questions, have you ever had a structural inspection on your home?
Sure.
Yeah.
And who did it?
And
if you have a receipt, keep the receipt.
Yes.
Yep.
So that they know Uncle Joe didn't do the repair.
Nice. Yeah. Tony, this one's maybe for you, but it says...
I didn't approve these questions.
I know. Well, I pulled some at random, and I tried to get some that made sense. But anyway, it says, in your report, you mentioned I should have a structural engineer further evaluate the foundation. That sounds pretty scary. What should I expect if I get a structural engineer involved?
Well, I think that it's an engineering report, so there's that expertise that he has, and he doesn't, I think, have any skin in the game. Like, he's not trying to sell you anything. He's just providing a report so you believe it's going to be honest, well done, and it's going to tell you exactly what needs to be done, and hopefully give you some insights into what you might need to do around the house for drainage and things like that to prevent further issues in the future.
Yeah, I agree with you. Structural engineering reports are so much more than just a zip level. Right? They come out and they measure your elevation. They also they look at your drainage, they look at your gutters, they look at all those things. Sure. And more often than not, when we have a structural engineer go out, they don't always recommend repairs. More often than not, they say, it's moved, hasn't moved enough, or we need to keep an eye on this, or maybe we need to do something here to just stop it from moving any more than it already has. What do you guys see when that comes up? I know that probably come up once or twice in your career.
It has on the house that Doug and Ann bought. They purchased, and we had somebody come out and to check the foundation because it's really different, because you're on slab most of the time.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a different type of engineering, and it takes a different expertise to do that. And so I just, let's get an expert out here and trust what they have to share with you. And I know as a novice a little bit because I've been doing this so long. Well, if that foundation's moving again, you need to look at the windows. There might be something a little off on, moving there where you'll see that. But you want to always, I'd get that done. I believe in hiring the professional and see what they have to say. But at the end of the day, if you're a buyer and some of these things are just a little too scary. I had one the other day, okay? And for some reason, I don't know why, the inspection, the pre-inspection showed that there was mold up in the attic space. And there was probably a little roof leak done. Now, the roof was since repaired, but the mold is still there.
Yeah.
And they didn't have the remediation done. He's going to me, well, what happens? I mean, they have a bid for it. Okay. How do I know that it didn't get into the walls? So he ended up and says, I don't want to take that on. And that seller would have been better off taking the time, have a professional remediation come in, have them do it to get rid of the mold and so forth, and have it certified.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Now I've identified it. I've had the work done, and it's been certified. Now a buyer is at ease.
Yeah, so that you brought me to my last question. That was perfect. Couldn't have planned that better.
We were back to the conversation of keeping up the maintenance on your home.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So the last question, I'm selling an older home, and I've never had it checked for anything environmental like mold or lead. and actually they said lead or asbestos, excuse me. Is that something that I need to do before I list it, or will buyers care?
I say hire you guys. Okay. You have the home inspection done. See what they find. Because it's not perfect, but you're going to pretty much find most of it. As far as lead paint go, because that's the houses that have been built before 1978.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to have a disclosure about that. And I've never had one sale where A, the buyer wanted to have the lead paint removed.
Right.
Or B, that they wouldn't buy it because it may have lead paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have that disclosure, you have the pamphlet, and
very good. Well, do you guys want to mention how people can get a hold of you, or
absolutely,
how can people get a hold of you?
Well, through the Remax DFW and Associates office, Flower Mound, or you can reach us on our emails or cell phones.
Yeah. 972-878-3446.
Or 425-780-8076 for Becky.
Very good. Any last words?
No, this has been great. We appreciate the opportunity to share our vision and what we do, and what we're different from any other team, so to speak. It's just the two of us, but what we believe that we bring to the table is helping people, guide them through their process, whether or not they're selling or buying. You can only do the best you can with what you have to work with, and we'll guide you through that, and hopefully release some of that stress when you're buying. And then you have my evaluation and her vision as to and how this home can be. It's been a great team thing, and we just complement each other really well.
And we have a great team behind us, like you guys.
Nice.
Sounds like y'all are working really well together.
Yeah, for sure.
Double whammy.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for being
Thanks
here.
for having us.
Yeah, this is good. This is great. Thanks.
And we hope we helped people through the process.
Yeah.
And answered some questions, perhaps.
Okay, remember, you can always reach us on any of the social channels. You can message us on Instagram or reach out to us on housefluent.com if you ever need a home inspection, need some advice about your home maintenance, or just generally get to know us. So, Becky, what does Tony have planned for the next show?
What does he have planned for the next show?
I'm not sure. I never quite know.
I'm not sure why you're asking Becky.
Well, hopefully you'll have us back.